third game of the 2012 Greendale High School football season. Tonight, Greendale returns home for their home opener as they will play host to the Pius Popes. Pius is new to the Woodland Conference, coming in from the Classic 8. They are 2-0 just like the Panthers, so tonight's game will have an effect on the standings in the Woodland West Conference. The Popes will kick first to start the game. After a close call with a fumble on the return, Greendale would start from their 32. On their very first play, they had trouble again with the fumble on the handoff, and just like that, Pius had the ball and found themselves on Greendale's 34. Greendale's defense would come up big, forcing the Popes' offense to a 4th and 12. It looked like the Popes were going for it, but instead quick kicks from their offensive set, resulting in the ball coming to rest on the Panthers' 3. Ringelberg and crew would now take over the field and start from deep in a hole. On the very first play, they would fumble again, of which Greendale would recover, but now the ball was on the 1-yard line. Instead of running a run play, the Panthers would take to the air as Ringelberg rolled to his right and found Nate Miller on the right sideline and managed to shake loose to get some much-needed breathing room before being knocked out at the Panther 24. He would run 8 more plays before being forced to punt from the Popes 47. After the punt, Pius would find themselves lining up on their 15. They would squeeze off 5 plays before being forced to punt back to the Panthers. Greendale would start this drive from their 34. This time they would run 15 plays, all on the ground, moving the ball all the way to the Popes' 3-yard line. They ended up having to settle for a 21-yard field goal by Frankie Rakowski for the game's first score. The score would now read 3-0 with 14 seconds left in the first quarter. Ensuing kick, things would go wrong for the Popes, for on the return, Greendale Sam Sabanash would knock the ball loose, of which Jack Ringelberg would recover for Greendale on the Popes 17. On the very first play, Josh Ringelberg would sting the Popes as he hooked up with Cody Metz for a 22-yard scoring strike. Rakowski would make his kick, and just like that, Greendale threw 7 more points on the board, making a score 10-0 with 1 second left. The unsung heroes of the Panthers special teams were flying high as they smothered the return man back on his 7-yard line. This time, Pius took on a new approach as they would operate a hurry-up version of their offense. They managed to get the ball all the way to the Panthers' 5-yard line and were looking at a 1st and goal. With the way things were going during this drive, one would have bet money that the Popes were going to score. Well, if you made that bet, you would have lost, for the Panthers' defense rose to the occasion and kept Pius from scoring in all 4 plays. Greendale would now take over possession of the ball and start from their 1-yard line. On the very first play, cool hand Ringelberg would drop back to pass and find a wide open Peter Pika running a crossing route and picking up 34 yards on the play. Plays later, the Panthers would reach the zone again as Ringelberg would hook up with Metz for a 21-yard scoring strike. That capped off a 15-play, 99-yard drive. Rakowski would split the uprights, and the Panthers were now up 17-0 with 3:58 left in the first half. The Popes would start their next drive after a nice return from their 38. 7 plays later, they would turn the ball over on downs as Jack Ringelberg, who was Josh's twin brother, broke up a pass in the end zone that would have been a sure touchdown. With 2:19 left in the first half, Greendale would now take possession on their 25. 3 plays later, Ringelberg would be intercepted by Popes' Christian Garcia, who took the ball all the way to the Panther 28. Greendale's defense continued to make life miserable for Connor Sanger, but the guy would never give up, for he was always trying to make plays. At a 4th and 27 from his 29, he would roll to his right and unleash a pass, catching a Panther defender daydreaming. He would hook up with his favorite receiver, Darius Nance, for a 29-yard scoring strike. The extra point kick failed, and Pius was finally on the board, but trailing with a score of 17-6 and 8 seconds left in the half. After the kick, Greendale would take a knee to end the first half. Popes would be getting the ball first to start the second half. After some more amazing special team play by Greendale, the Popes would find themselves having to start from their 15. They would resume their hurry-up style of offense and put together 12 plays before one of their receivers fumbled the ball after he caught it, of which Nate Miller would recover for Greendale on his 16. plays later, which included a lot of gashing runs, Greendale crossed the goal line on a 1-yard sneak by Ringelberg, completing a 9-play, 84-yard drive. Bukowski would make this kick, and Greendale was now up 24-6 with 6:05 left in the third. Pius would be forced to start from their 20 as Bukowski's kick would make the end zone. Things can happen when you pass the ball, and 2 of them are bad. That's what the Popes discovered, for on their very first play of the drive, Singer would be intercepted by shutdown corner Mitchell Breeze, who returned it 20 yards to the Popes' 31-yard line. Smelling blood, the Panthers' high-powered offense would take to the field to see if they could put this game out of reach. 3 plays later, they did punch it in as Ringelberg would do the honors untouched from 8 yards out. Bukowski would split the uprights, and now the score was Greendale 31, Pius 6 with 4:56 left in the third quarter. Pius was still trying to get something going as they would begin their next drive from their 26. 6 plays later, the Panthers' defense came up huge again as Jack Ringelberg intercepted the ball in his 46. The Panthers' offense will now have to punch the clock once again. Run 6 plays before Pius's Antoine Powell stepped in front of a Ringelberg pass and intercepted it and returned it to his 42. Still looking for a spark, the Popes were leaning more towards the pass than the run. Of course, the Panthers knew that and continued to keep the heat on Sanger. Eventually forced the Popes to turn the ball over on downs way back on Pius's 33. Looking at a short field, Greendale would now take over possession of the football. 3 plays later, running back Jake Zawicki would take it in from 3 yards out for Greendale's 5th touchdown of the night. Bukowski would convert the kick, and now the Panthers were on the verge of creating another running clock situation, which is something they have done in the first 2 games. The score would now read 38-6 with 10:53 left in the game. Popes would be starting from their 20 after another touchback. They would run 5 plays before looking at a 4th and 6 from their 34. I guess desperate times call for desperate measures as they would go for it, but come up short as the pass fell incomplete. Greendale will now take over on downs at the Pius 34. The Panthers didn't waste time again as they would reach the end zone 2 plays later as Ringelberg would hook up an 18-yard pass with Galen Siebold. Bukowski would make the kick, and now the running clock would begin as the score would read Greendale 45, Pius 6 with 9:01 left in the game. Pius would begin this drive from their 31. They would run 6 plays later before the merciless Greendale Panthers defense would pull the plug as linebacker Zach Henderson would pick off the Sanger pass on his 18. With 6 minutes left on the ticking clock, Greendale was now out to just burn the clock. They would stay on the ground and run 3 plays before having to punt the ball away. The demoralized Popes would now take to the field and ended up turning the ball over on downs on their 41. All Greendale needed to do was take a knee and this game would be over. The final score would be Greendale 45, Pius 6. One could only conclude that Greendale made a statement tonight as they took it to the Popes in an overwhelming fashion. It's also a foregone conclusion that Josh Ringelberg is the real deal and is looking like one of the top quarterbacks in the conference. I don't think his grade year matters, and I'm pretty sure that the Panther coaching staff doesn't care either. This guy is a player and makes things happen with minimal mistakes. The offensive line looks to have come together, and the receivers do what they do, and that's catch the footballs. The defense, on the other hand, is a completely different animal, as they have only given up 21 points in 3 games and have shown an uncanny way of getting to the ball and making plays. The Panthers will now take their 17 conference game winning streak on the road with them out west to Pewaukee to take on the Pirates. Like Greendale, the Pirates are coming into this game with the perfect record, so that means that something has got to give. This game is scheduled to start at 7 o'clock. Hope to see you all there. So long.